What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. So lately I've been doing a lot of looks that don't really have audio in them, but today we're going to be diving in and talking about eyebrows. We are going to be doing two style of eyebrows. As you can tell right now, this is my eyebrows with nothing but microblading on them. That means I did my makeup and I did not touch the brow area. So I would choose to polish the brows these two ways that I'm going to show you today. The important and really cool thing about this video is that let's celebrate together. I got my first Wet n Wild PR package. This package has two brow products that they just launched. It has a brow pencil. Let me kind of flip it this way. It has a brow pencil and a brow gel. They were generous enough to give me several shades to choose from. I usually vary my brows from a dark and light shade just to add that variation. So today we're going to be diving in all with Wet n Wild products. So if you're interested in learning these two brow techniques that I definitely recommend, they're drugstore edition, super affordable, and amazing for your makeup. Keep watching. All right, guys, so they have 3 color pencils and 3 brow gels to choose from. So they have a dark brown, a taupe, and a medium brown. And basically, I feel like they cover a nice range of brows. You can, again, adjust your pressure to get the desired color, but I think I'm going to be anywhere from the darkest and then like the medium one. They also have the matching brow gel, and I think it's the same. Okay, these are different. So these says brown, blonde, and clear and transparent. So I like the fact that they included a clear transparent gel in case that you don't want a lot of color and you just want your brows to stay in place. So that is super exciting. So I'm looking at the info card and I'm seeing that both of these products are retailing for $2.99. They both have 3 colors, a light, a medium, and a dark. So I think that's super affordable and really amazing. They say that they provide buildable coverage with a spoolie for you to have dramatic color if you want, or again, the transparent gel to just kind of scoop everything in place. So let's go ahead and dive in and try these two techniques and these products. All right, guys, so microblading, if you're interested in knowing the process, the ins and outs, and my experience, I do have a video specifically talking about my experience. So I will link it somewhere right here. Make sure to check it out. But basically what we want to do is give the brow definition, because when we apply makeup, as you can see, if I just leave the brow area alone, it almost feels kind of like grayed out. It feels unbalanced. So on this side, I'm going to do a natural brow, and on this side, I'm going to do a brow like I've been doing. For photography, for video, it is more sculpted, more defined. So whichever one that you identify with, we're gonna go ahead and dive into the process. Guys, how cute is this little detail at the bottom? It says brow meter, brow casual, or brow addict. Good stuff. All right, so I'm gonna open 2. I am looking at medium brown and dark brown for the pencils. I think I'm going to swatch them in the back of my hand and see how dark it is. Because I have microblading, it's going to work out a little bit differently for me, because there's areas that I need to fill and there's areas where I want to define a little bit more. So I'm just going to give you like a close-up on what my brow actually looks like. Both eyebrows are similar as far as the lack of hair. So at the very top of the brow, I really don't have any hair. So for me, microblading was actually just kind of like defining the areas where I had nothing and providing that shape. So as you can tell, it's been more than a year, and so it's a little bit faded. For me, I really struggle with the beginning, the top of the brow, and a little bit of the bottom section. So that's really what I focus on when I'm filling the brow. All right, guys, so I decided to swatch it in the back of my hand, and I see that the major difference between the medium brown and the dark brown is that the medium brown has more of a red tone and the dark brown is more of a neutral tone. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with the dark brown just because I don't have a lot of hair and I don't want to highlight that. So I'm going to go ahead and use the dark brown. I do like how there is a spoolie on the back side with a cover, and then we have the pencil. So I'm going to go ahead and see the areas that I want to define and where I want to go with this. So usually, guys, when I approach my eyebrow routine, I like to use the pencil to frame the brow and then I go in with a wax, and then I'll do my last step. So for this side, we're gonna go for a more natural brow. So I have a lot of areas that are missing, so I'm just gently going to kind of start framing out where I want it to be defined. So as you can tell, I went ahead and I framed the top of the brow. Even though I'm going to pick up the hair to make it fluffier, I do want to make sure that I am taking the time to define the shape. I do have a little bit of an arch here, and I want to make sure that I'm really getting that edge right here. Once I have my hair like this, I want to make sure to comb it down and make sure to shade in any areas that need a little bit of help defining. So again, it's up to you. If you want a darker brow, use a heavier pressure. But if you just want to kind of lightly feather it, it's going to give you a more natural effect. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and brush the brow up. And in this part, I'm going to just kind of fill in the areas where I feel I need definition. So I like to just draw a line right here. And then from here, I'll use that pencil to kind of like scoop it up and create brow hair. So it's up to you how intense you want it. Because I have microbleeding at the bottom, you see how it's kind of gray. So I'm gonna have to go back and find areas where I need further definition. But right now I'm just kind of focusing on that background color. On the brow gel, I have the brown one that I decided to try out. And if this one is too red, then I'll go with the transparent. But I just kind of want to see if it's going to dry down and get really hard, if it's just going to be kind of like midway hold. So right now I'm opening it, and the brown, let me kind of swatch it for you in the back of my hand. So the brown looks good in the back of my hand. Let's go ahead and test it out. Anytime that you're going to use brow gel, you're going to sculpt it, let it dry, and then see if it's going to hold or if it's still going to be flimsy. I like a brow gel that's going to almost be like hairspray for my brows. Even if they're crispy and crunchy, I'm not going to be messing with them throughout the day. I just want it to be a really, really strong hold. So let's go ahead and go through our brow. What I like to do is I like to back comb the beginning of my brow. As you can see, I really struggle with fullness in the beginning section of the brow. So we're just gonna scoop it. So right now the formula looks really wet. I again want to know once it dries down if I can go back and kind of manipulate the hair. As you can see, the more that I brush it, the thicker that the hair appears. So once it dries, I can go back with like a second coat if needed, and then I can start separating sections like these. But basically I want to make sure that it's nice and coated. And if you see sloppiness in the bottom, don't worry about it. We're going to go and conceal in just a bit. I just want to make sure that the whole brow is coated. I'm going to give it a couple minutes, see how it dries, if it's going to be heavy hold or it's going to just kind of stay flimsy like this. So let it dry and we'll come back. All right guys, so I did another coat of the brow gel. Right now it's taking a little while to dry. I would say that once your brow gel is done and dried, then we can go back with the spoolie part and kind of like part the hairs or move them to adjust. Right now, while we're waiting for the layer to dry, I'm gonna go ahead and go in with their Photo Focus Concealer. This is my Ride or Die concealer. If you watch my videos, which you should, this is the one that I always use. I just feel like it is good coverage, it's not over drying, and it works best to give me that neutral undertone that I'm looking for. So I'm gonna go ahead and I usually do about 2 or 3 little dots. So I'm gonna get here, here, and here. I don't want too much. Then I'm gonna go ahead and grab a flat brush just like this, and I'm gonna go ahead and kind of work the excess to the bottom of the brow and then begin to sculpt. So I want to make sure I'm sculpting what I want to sculpt. So now I'm going to go ahead and change brushes. You can go ahead and go in with your sponge. So I'm going to go ahead and just set the area with powder, just because I don't want the concealer to be moving. And if you need to go on top of the brow with concealer, go ahead and do so. I feel like it's pretty alright for me. The last step, once I already kind of know that the brow gel is, for the most part, done, I'm going to go ahead and take that spoolie part of the pencil, and now I'm going to start moving the brow hair, kind of like fluffing it up so that it is sculpted. It looks full, especially for me that I really don't have hair at the beginning. So I'm kind of like combing it back, fluffing it up. And you don't have to like full on brush it. You just are using the spoolie to kind of direct the hair where we want it to go. So for me, I want it to be up, and I want it to be filling those areas that for me at the top I really don't have hair. So I'm just kind of extending that hair up so that it looks full, and it is also giving me that feathery laminated effect. So there you have it, folks. If you love a more natural brow, you have the fluffy brow going on. It's not a lot. So if you want a way lighter brow, I would recommend that you use less pressure when you're using the pencil. I used about medium to heavier pressure, only because I have a lot of major bald spots that we wanted to cover. But I feel like overall it looks clean, it looks defined, and with a natural makeup look like this, I feel like this would be a nice go-to look. Alright guys, so for this brow, we're going to go ahead and do a more defined sculpted brow. This technique is the one that I used every time that I do video, that I do pictures, that I know I am going to probably use heavier makeup, a big lash, and I want the brow to look very, very defined. So we're going to use the same technique. I'm going to go ahead and use that same brow pencil. I usually start framing the brow every single time, no matter what technique. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. On this brow, I'm missing a little bit less hair at the beginning. So I'm going to just kind of sculpt and get that same definition. Alright guys, so this might seem crazy, but again, we are dealing with microbladed eyebrows. I have tried so many brow markers in the market, and they're just not meant to cover the way that a felt tip liner would. So like I said, I've already tried different ones, and basically they're not dark enough for my microblading. I want a very defined and sculpted look, so I know this is going to feel crazy, but if you have microblading, you want that defined look, this, friends, is going to change your life. All right, so this one is the Pro Line Felt Tip Liner, and it is in the color dark brown. I recommend that you test it out. I do have really dark hair, so for me this works. I wouldn't necessarily go in with a black one, but if you need it. So for this one, I recommend that you stay with this for specific eyebrow purposes. Do not go and use it for your eyeliner and then your eyebrows, because you're going to mess up the tip, and the tip is really what we want. If you are afraid to go in with this just right off the bat, I would say do a little bit of ink on the back of your hand and then just kind of like scoop it and lightly define. I'm going to be bold and I'm going to just dive in. So let's go and do it together. This is a brand new one. I literally just bought it yesterday. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Light pressure. Light pressure. We're an artist. We're sculpting. So I'm going to fake hair. And I basically want to get started somewhere here. And I'm going to get a little bit. And start moving with it. So remember, you want lightly to start building those strokes. They don't necessarily have to be a one and done type of stroke. They're just going to be buildable. So I want to make sure that the bottom of the brow almost looks like hair. Here at the top, just connect, because I'm going to stand the hair. It's not really going to matter. Right now it looks a little aggressive, but I promise it'll turn out. So I have all my defined strokes right here at the bottom. If you messed up and you brought them a little low like I did, it's okay, we can go and correct it. So basically we're going to end up with kind of like a candy cane effect. We're going to mask it once we bring in the brow gel, but this is what we want. We want really defined brow strokes at the bottom, and then really defined brow strokes throughout the brow. So basically the pencil was the background color, and this is going to be our defined sculpted hairs that are going to work out. So next step. All right, guys, so I basically let it dry. I corrected any excess hair that I had created. And basically what we want to do is make sure that the bottom of the brow is lined up, all the tops are lined up, and with our brow gel, miracles are going to occur. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and use that same brow gel, the brown one, and I'm going to further sculpt the brow. We're going to start at the beginning of the brow. Like I said, each brow is different. For me, this one has a little bit more hair. I'm still going to comb it the same way that I did my other brow, kind of back combing. Really making sure that I'm coating the entire brow, because that is going to help us create this bushy brow effect at the end. So we're going to work it in the brow. Sculpt it all the way up. And that will kind of help once it's dry. So just putting the brow gel right now, it's not really sculpted or anything, but you can kind of see that the candy cane effect of using the felt tip liner, it's really not that aggressive. Again, I do have darker hair. If you have lighter hair, this would probably not work for you. But if you have darker hair, definitely try this technique, because it looks sculpted, it looks more defined, it looks way bushier than my other natural brow. So what I recommend right now, hold on, let it dry, and then we can come back and kind of fix the hair to appear bushier and laminated. All right, guys, so now that the brow gel is mostly dry, I'm gonna go ahead and take the spoolie part and start sculpting or laying down that hair. So at the beginning of my brow, I like to make sure that all the hairs are as separated as possible. Again, I really like that fluffy laminated brow effect. So I try to scoop up all my hair and then it all falls one direction. So again, you don't want to go and like comb it all. You're just kind of taking the hair and directing it. So here for me, I don't have a lot of hair in this arch. So I try my very best to kind of just scoop it up and define it. So there we go. If you find that there are areas where you would like to darken, you can go ahead and repeat the process. But basically what we want to achieve is that bushier, darker brow that from a distance and in photography really gets that hair definition. And there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and dive in to the concealer portion so that you can see this brow cleaned up. So I went ahead and redefined the edge of this brow just because I felt like it looked kind of empty. So right now I'm going to go ahead and do the same technique of the concealer. Usually do about 2 to 3, just depending. With that flat brush, I'm going to go ahead and grab the excess and just kind of scoop it down. And then I'm going to start defining the brow. So we're going to go ahead and switch brushes. I like to go in with this brush, and then if I feel like I need to flatten anything out or smooth anything out, I can go in with my sponge. But for now, this brush will do. All right, last step, I'm going to go ahead and set with powder so that nothing moves. So if you feel that you have anything that is going around on top of the brow, you can definitely grab your concealer brush, clean that up. But I feel like we're looking pretty good. Do you love it? Do you want to try it? So if you are in love with these brows, tell me which side you usually do. Do you have an occasion for it? Do you just love both? I feel like if I'm going to work, this would be like what I'm doing. If I'm in a film or I need like an event or something, this is what I'm doing. I love them both. I feel like they both look great. Again, it's gonna come down to the pressure for the intensity of the color payoff that you like. But guys, all Wet n Wild products, and we got this amazingness. You don't have to go spend a whole bunch to look great. All right, guys, so we backed it up so that you can see the look from farther away. Like I said, I prefer one for photography and video over the other one. But again, if you love them both, just alternate, just try the technique. Tell me all about it. Tell me which one you absolutely love in the comments below. And that is all for today, guys. So I just shared years worth of finding my brow routine. I feel like every couple of years or every so often you kind of experiment with your brows. For me, I am living for the bushy brow defined amazingness over here. But I also appreciate sometimes just, you know, just a nice clean sculpt. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Check out these products. They're super affordable. Drugstore can be a great place to shop and find amazing things. You can also find this brow technique in action, ready to go with beautiful pictures and video to confirm what I just told you. So make sure to find me on Facebook, TikTok. Yes, we're doing it, people. YouTube, subscribe, and Instagram. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate your support, your comments, your love, and I will see you next time.